Well, it's Christmas time and Sue's decorating. You want to know how to build some of those white decorative ornament boxes behind me? I'm going to take you out in the shop and show you how easy it is. You only need a few simple tools. What are we waiting for? Let's get going. Alright, let's get started. I'm going to show you how to make these boxes. It's really not that hard. You just need some material. So what we need for material is what we call a low pressure laminate. You might have heard it as melamine, and it's just on a particle board core. But melamine is just a brand name. It's like Kleenex, you know, when you want a tissue. It's just a name brand. So it's a low pressure laminate that's on particle board. And the edges become very sharp because you are working with a laminate. So a good idea is to use some gloves. So let me get set up here and we're going to cut ourselves a piece. Alright, so we get our gloves on because we don't want to cut our hands. We're going to get our dust collection system going. Run the blade up. Now the blade just wants to be above the material. Okay, you don't want it up 4 or 5 inches above, 2-3 inches above, because you're going to get hurt if something happens. Okay, so if we were just cutting a sheet for the first time, we would have cut this oversized. Then we would have gone back and cut the opposite edge again. But because I already cut a piece off of this and squared it all up, got a nice edge on both sides, now we're good to go. The beauty of this project, doing a miter fold, you don't need any specialty tools. You can do this all with your table saw. You need to be able to rip it, and then you need to be able to cut a 45-degree miter. I'm going to be using a few different tools. I'm going to be using the edge banding tool here, and I'm also going to be using the chop saw. But you don't have to have a chop saw. If you do, makes life easier, but you don't have to do that. So let's pull a few tools together here, and we'll go on to the next step. I'm going to show you how to brace this up so that you can edge band it easily. Okay, so what we're going to do is we've got a pair of stands, and we're going to put some clamps on here that we're going to be able to tighten this down and hold it nice and steady, because when you're working on any project, the key is to have your work nice and rigid so it's not going to take off on you. So let's get this set up and we'll edge band it. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a block sander. We're just going to hit this edge real quick. Again, it's a good idea to have gloves on because this stuff does get sharp. Not only that, but the low pressure laminate is slippery. It's hard to hold the pieces. Okay, we're going to blow it off because we want our surface to be clean so we get good adhesion. Okay, we're going to use our vinyl edge banding tape. The key to this is not to stay in one spot too long. Just keep a steady flow going. I'll show you the pace you should hold. So we're using a 3/4 inch board, and I usually use 13/16 edge banding tape, which gives you very little hanging over on each side. It's easier to trim. I ran out of 13/16. This is 15/16, so 1/16 under an inch wide edge banding tape, which you certainly can use. There's just a little more waste, so it takes you a little more effort to trim it down, but no big deal. So you'd want to use 13/16 tape. Now you can get that probably at a Home Depot. More than likely you can get it at Amazon. I mean, I get my stuff from my supplier that brings in my board. But this stuff should be available at Home Depot if you want to do this project. All right, so let me show you how we're going to trim this up. Then the next thing we're going to do is, this is an edge band trimmer, but you certainly don't need this. This has got a cutter here, 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 and here, and it shows you the direction that you want to move in because the cutters are there. The reason that there's so many cutters is you can just turn this over. It's identical, and you can cut in either direction. So we're going to make a pass down. We're not going to squeeze this too tight. We're just going to take some of the product off on this pass, because there is a lot of product to take off. Normally you just squeeze it tight and take it off in one shot. So we're going to take a few shots down in both directions here and clean it up. And then you just want to take a minute and check it. Okay, we're still over a little bit. Go back on, clean that up. The beauty of this cutter is it won't do any damage to the board. It only goes in as far as the product that you're removing. Okay, that feels pretty good all the way. So that side is done. We're going to flip it over and we're going to do the opposite side. Okay, we're all fastened in. We're going to take and just sand this edge and just repeat what we just did. Put our gloves back on while we're dealing with this stuff, because I have been cut, that's for sure, over the years. And it's not worth it. All you need is a pair of gloves. Stop it. And we're going to repeat our process. Now this is nothing more than a sanding belt that's been put onto a piece of plywood. So if you want to make one of these in the shop, they're very easy actually. Take and cut a board a little under the size that you actually would need to fit in here, so that it slides in and out easily. Then you just take and put a piece of wood shim in there. So you cut a couple pieces of wood shim, tap one in from each side, tighten it up, boom, done. And when it's time to replace that, just take, when it's time to replace this, just take a razor blade knife, cut the old one off, your wedges will fall out, put a new one on, then pop the wedges back in. Piece of cake. All right, let me edge band this, and we'll go on to the next step. So the next thing that we're going to do is cut our miters. Now if you have a miter saw or a chop saw, you'd be better off to use this, but it's not necessary. And you're really going to need one that can angle if you're too high, which this is like right at the limit of what we can do. So it's easier for me to cut it on the side here and to set myself up a stop block. That way, because I'm making a cube and they're all 6 inches, boom, I can run right up to that, and then just, I don't have to re-angle this or anything. Now, if you're doing it on the table saw, then you're just going to have to set yourself up on the table saw, angle your blade to a 45, make all your cuts. I'm sure you can set up a stop so you can just cut one piece after another. Okay, so I'm going to show you how we get this done on a chop saw. So we make our first cut. Now, to do this so that we don't have to keep changing our angle, we're just going to reverse our board, because with what we're doing, it's the same on both sides. And we also edge banded both edges. Now a box that's going to sit up on the wall and you're not going to see the back side, you really don't have to edge band both sides. I like to do it. For one thing, this is only particle board in here. Particle board absorbs moisture. I'd rather have it finished all the way around, but you certainly don't have to do that. So by setting up our stop, we run this piece up to it. We're going to come back and make a cut here. Now, what I didn't show you was, I have this all set up to my 6 inch. How do you get to the point where you mark it and set it up? Why don't we do that? So let's say that we wanted to do an 8 inch box. So you'd cut your first miter, set your board up on end, take your ruler, and it's important to note, do you want an 8-inch inside or outside? My measurements, I'm talking about on the outside. So I am measuring on the outside. So let's say we wanted it to be 8 inches. So then I'd put my mark at 8. I'd come back with my gauge and mark my line back. Boom. Then I'd tip this over and I'd draw a straight line across here. Then I have my mark to line my blade up. But I'm not doing 8-inch, I'm doing 6, and I happen to already be set up. Now if you wanted to work off of an inside measurement, you could certainly do that. But the way that you do that is take your measurement from here, now that your cut is made, back, if you wanted 8 inches inside, make your mark, and then go in reverse, transfer the line back across over here, just so that you can see where you are. Now because we're making a square, and all sides are equal, I'm just going to cut out 4 pieces. So there's one. Now we'll duplicate. Okay, so there's all of our pieces. Let's go to the next step, which is to miter fold this all together. Okay, so our next step will be to give ourselves a straight edge to work against. Okay, so we're going to clamp that to the table. Again, we want a sturdy work surface. Okay, so we set ourselves up a nice straight edge to pull ourselves even in the back over here. And by cutting our miters all over on the chop saw, we've created our inside corner. Okay, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to put a hook in one of these. So we'll take the one that we want to put the hook in, we'll make that the top. And on this box it doesn't matter, it would only matter if you were doing a rectangle. And then what I take is, this is a self-centering ruler, which runs 12 inches on each side of center. Just makes it easier to find the center here. So we're at 3 3/4. So we'll get a center line about there. And we'll do the same over here. Just about 3 3/4. And there's our center again. So what we're going to do now is drill a hole right there, because it's going to make life a lot easier to put our hook in there. So you can see what I've done here. I don't have a stop. All I did is take a piece of electrical tape, because I don't want to drill through this, and go up to the electrical tape. Boom. Okay, so after drilling your hole, we're not putting the hook in yet. What we're doing is we're taking all of our pieces and reversing them, just flipping them over. This is how we're going to make our miter joints come together here. So now we're going to take some tape. Now this is just heavy-duty packing tape. There is no such thing as a miter tape or a V-grooving tape. They don't make it. So this is Scotch brand shipping tape, heavy-duty. I get them over at BJ's, but you can get it wherever it's sold. You can get them. So you're going to start here with your tape. We're going to go across each joint, each piece all the way down, keeping them just butted together. So at this end, we started in. On this end, we're going to end our tape out about 6 inches. And then if you come in here and you hold this like this, and hold your piece of tape, and then just put it down over there, you won't have to go fishing for it the next time. That's that one. I'll do one more over here. Do the same thing. Now if you're doing multiple boxes, it's a good idea to do what we just did and hold the tape. Now go back in and then press this all down. You want this to stick good. Then we're simply going to turn this over. Now we already have our hole, so we're going to run a hook in there. This is the time to put the hook in. It's a lot easier now than when this is all glued up. Run that guy down in there. You want to get it down as far as you can go without coming through the other side, obviously, but because this is going to be a small decoration box, you want to get the hook up as far as you can. Okay, so now we're going to glue our joints. I usually put 2 beads, one there and one a little lower. Remember, when you fold this up, it's going to want to push the glue upwards. So you don't want to get too close to the end because you don't want to have to start cleaning everything. Although with the low pressure laminate or the melamine on there, it does clean up rather easily. Now we are doing this end because this is the last piece to come together. Okay. Now it's as simple as doing this. Fold it together. I kind of introduce them to each other a little bit there. Let the glue get into the other piece. And then fold this one up. Pull them together. Okay. You want your ends to match up best that they can. It's not going to be 100%, but it's pretty darn close. Okay. And then pull your tape over. That's it. It's a box. Okay, so if there is any glue that did squeeze out, just go right back in with a wet rag, screwdriver, wipe it out. Because like I said, the melamine or the low pressure laminate, it cleans up really easy. And then you just leave this thing for about an hour to set up, and you got yourself a box. Well, that's all there is to it. There's not really a lot to making one of these, and the cost of it will be fairly low. You know, you're going to have to buy a sheet, so you probably want to make multiples. They make good gifts, and you really don't need any specialty tools. You really get by with your table saw, razor blade knife, and your wife's iron. Don't tell her you're going to use it though. Don't tell her that you know how to use it either. She'll have your iron and clothes. But that's all there is to making a decorative ornament box. And we might have folded our joints. Again, there's no fasteners, just glue. So I guess that's it for this little session. I hope you learned a little something. Don't forget to share these videos. Maybe somebody else wants to make one of these boxes. Sharing is caring. All kidding aside, glad you stopped by. Wouldn't be the same without you. So until I see you next time on Ferg TV. But this is a lot easier for me, so I'm going to show you how we get this done. As soon as I plug it in. You can do it on the table saw. You just got to tilt your blade, set it up. You have to cut each piece. This is easier if you do have... I'm going to take you out in the shop, show you how you can build your own. You only need a few simple tools. It's very easy. Let's get going. That doesn't even make sense, does it? It doesn't sound good. No, I don't think it does.